Week 14, NFL Power Rankings. Let's go. Number 32, Jacksonville Jaguars. So we're all hearing the rumors, right? There's turmoil within the Jacksonville organization. People don't like Urban Meyer. He's arguing with players and coaches. Man, shit like this happens all the time. But the Jaguars came out in this game against the Titans and kind of looked like they didn't want to be out there. It looked like they were just kind of going through the motions. Body language is a real thing, and it's quite telling. And body language in this game told me straight up nobody wants to play for this fool. I've been saying it all year long. This man needs to go. The Jaguars are a terrible team in general, but if they're coming out with no energy, not wanting to play, that's downright scary. If this franchise hopes to crawl out of this hole, Urban Meyer needs to go. Trevor Lawrence needs to get better. And the fuckery that's going on down there needs to stop. I got the Jaguars at 32, and it's not even fucking close. Number 31, Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton. I just can't with this dude. Another interception for Cam Newton. Another lost fumble for Cam Newton. And then finally his ass gets benched and PJ Walker comes in. Look, I know the Panthers are without their best player in Christian McCaffrey. We all know. But they still have a rock-solid defense. And two of their receivers are really good. They really shouldn't be playing this poorly. The only reason why a team like this should be playing this bad is if they had a quarterback there let's say I don't know, Cam Newton. Oh. Number 30, Detroit Lions. You gotta give the Lions credit for playing tough. But in the NFL, you need more than toughness. You need talented players. Without these players, you ain't winning football games. The Lions kept the game close against the Broncos in the first half, but then the second half, they came out looking like an XFL team. They were like, oh, we have the football here. You please, Broncos. You take it. We don't want it. Jared Goff is not a good enough quarterback to make this team better. It hurts me to say these hurtful words because I really do like the Lions. They are my second favorite team. But the Lions and Lions fans really should be thinking 4 more weeks till vacation. And that's so sad. Number 29, Houston Texans. So during the week, the Houston Texans declared that Davis Mills will be their starting quarterback for the remainder of the season over Tyrod Taylor. Now, as bad as that may sound, you gotta remember that Tyrod was benched once before for a gentleman named Nate Peterman. How did that work out? This isn't the first time Tyrod's been slapped in the face by a decision. But he needs to start looking at this shit and saying, what can I do better? Now, Davis Mills must have been excited about this news because he came out balling. This motherfucker completed his first 14 passes of the game. Mills had himself a great game, albeit in a loss. But we're going to have to see how he plays in the final 4 weeks. I mean, the Texans still need to have a quarterback for next year. And Davis Mills just might be that guy. Number 28, New Jersey Jets. Bro, Zach Wilson is garbage. Garbage. I'm calling it right now. By the opening week of the 2023 season, the New Jersey Jets will have a different, new starting quarterback. If you watched any of this game between the Jets and the Saints, you saw Zach Wilson miss his targets terribly all game long. I do not believe that he is still a work in progress. Keep on going with that mentality. Have him start for you next year. Go 5-12 again and have to draft a QB next year. Sounds like the Jets franchise. So during the game, I'm trash talking with a friend of mine who's a Jets fan, and he's telling me that I'm just being biased because I hate the Jets. I do think that there's some truth to that because, fuck the Jets. But on Monday, I'm reading stuff on NFL.com, and this is a direct quote from somebody on NFL. I'm going to look over there so I can read it, word for word. It's frustrating watching the rookie botch throws professionals should easily make. Wilson plays with no rhythm, doesn't see the field well, and gets sped up with his first read isn't there. The arm talent is unquestionable, but the rest of the rookie's game has a long way to go to play winning football. So it's not just me. People see how terrible this dude is. Big old trash can. This dude is far, far from being a franchise QB. And I'd love to say I feel bad for Jets fans, but I don't because fuck them. I've been abused by Jet fans for way too many years to give a shit. Number 27, Chicago Bears. The Bears are terrible. Awful. I really don't know what else to say. Since my first Power Rankings video that I've made this year, I've been calling them irrelevant because I can care less about the Bears. If the Bears were removed from the NFL, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't notice. Who gives a shit? Their head coach is trash. Their offense is trash. And if it wasn't for Jakeem Grant on Sunday night, would anybody have noticed that the Bears were playing? Number 26, New Jersey Giants. So Mike Glennon continues to struggle as a backup QB in the NFL as the Giants get blasted by the Chargers on Sunday. The only bright spot for the Giants was their run game. Granted, they were playing against one of the worst run defenses in the NFL, but because I've been supportive of the Giants all year long, I had to find something good to say, because there's really not much more that could be said. With their 9th loss, the Giants clinch a losing season. Number 25, Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are 6-7. For real. I honestly don't understand how that's possible. Like, when I'm thinking about the Falcons, I'm thinking about like lower tier teams. But they're 6-7. They're tied with the 7 seed of a playoff spot. And the only reason why they're not in the playoffs right now is because of tiebreakers. It's like blowing my fucking mind. Number 24, Las Vegas Raiders. All right, let me tell you how I think it went down. I think before the game, one of the Raiders players said, "Hey, fellas, come on, gather up. Come here. Now, we're playing a tough game against the Chiefs, and they're good. And I don't know about you guys, but I want to go out there and get my dick rubbed in the dirt. So here's what we're going to do. Let's all meet up on the 50-yard line and dance on their logo. That'll get them real pissed off. I mean, are you really even playing an NFL game if a team's not scoring 48 on you?" That's how I think it went down. And from that moment on, it was an all-out ass fuck by the Chiefs. The Raiders are likely going to miss the playoffs. And although I had them as one of my sleeper teams in the beginning of the year, this dick move at the beginning of this game has made me lose all sympathy for them. Dumbasses. Number 23, Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson to Tyler Lockett was on full display on Sunday. Rashad Penny also had himself a game, his best game of his career. The Seahawks offensive line did not give up a sack for the first time all year. But this all happened against a Houston Texans team, so I wouldn't get too excited there, Seattle. But this victory did keep your very slim hopes of a playoff chance alive. Number 22, Washington. Washington came into this game against the Cowboys on a 4-game winning streak. And this was an opportunity for Washington to make a fucking statement, letting the Cowboys know, yo, we are here. This was shaping up to be one hell of a matchup. And then Washington shit the fucking bed. Washington got absolutely dominated by a Cowboys defense and absolutely all but lost all their chances at winning the division title. Now, they are still in the playoffs, and it's not because they're a good team, it's because the rest of the NFC just sucks. Number 21, New Orleans Saints. Alvin Kamara returned for the Saints and helped them snap a 5-game losing streak. It's pretty clear that the Saints offense does and should run through Alvin Kamara. Taysom Hill played through a pinky injury and played decent. He managed the game rather than trying to be the focal point, and that is all in part because Kamara returned. Number 20, Cleveland Browns. Well, look here. Who has returned to the playoff conversations but the Cleveland Browns? The Browns beat a very banged-up Ravens team on Sunday, and it helped a lot that Lamar Jackson left the game with an injury. The Browns defense played much like it did earlier in the season, finally, but the offense still struggled, and Baker Mayfield continues to disappoint. The Browns had a chance to put the game away in the fourth quarter, but Baker Mayfield is Baker Mayfield. He continued to struggle, and the Ravens continued to have opportunities to come back in this game. The Browns are far from being a solid team, but a win is a win, I guess. Number 19, Minnesota Vikings. Dalvin Cook returned to the Vikings, and boy, did he look good. And it was a good thing, too, because Kirk Cousins looked like booty hole. And this would have been the story of the night had the Vikings not pissed away a 29-0 lead to the Steelers, in typical Vikings style. The Steelers had an opportunity to win the game on the final play, and fortunately for the Vikings, it was an incomplete pass. The Vikings don't win this game, they just didn't lose. And because of that, they stay alive in the NFC playoff race. But it's games like this that I feel really bad for Vikings fans. Number 18, Denver Broncos. In a very, very classy move, the Broncos start off the game with only 10 players on the field. This was honoring Demaryius Thomas, who recently lost his life. The Broncos were penalized for having 10 men on the field, and the Lions declined the penalty. It was awesome. It was well done. Applause goes out to the Broncos. In the actual game, the Broncos ran the ball for a little bit. Then they ran the ball for a little bit more. The Broncos went ahead and dominated this game with the run game, which means they didn't need Teddy Bridgewater to do much, which is a good thing. Broncos keep their playoff hopes alive with a very nice win. Number 17, Miami Dolphins. Dolphins were on a bye week. They sit at 6-7. I had them 20 last week. Moved them up 3 spots because of the teams underneath suck. Number 16, Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles also on a bye week, sit at 6-7. Last week had them at 16. They remain at 16. Number 15, Pittsburgh Steelers. Credit is definitely due to the Steelers for coming back down 29-0 to the Vikings on Thursday Night Football. Ultimately, they took the L, so let's talk about the story of the night, the thing everyone's talking about. What the fuck was Chase Claypool thinking? First off, earlier in the game, he has a very unnecessary taunting call where he pokes his finger in someone's face. But the story is, with under a minute left, seconds remaining in the game, the Steelers are driving and they convert a 4th down with a reception by Claypool, and instead of hustling that ball back up to the line of scrimmage, saving time because they have no timeouts, this motherfucker decides to celebrate because he's a fucking child. Then, to make matters worse, in the post-game interview, he blames his offensive lineman for knocking the ball out of his hands. Bro, it's called accountability. Like be responsible for your shit. This was a bad look for the Steelers receiver, and an even worse look for Mike Tomlin. Why, do you ask? Because listen to these names: Santonio Holmes, Mike Wallace, Martavius Bryant, Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Chase Claypool. All wide receivers behaving like divas. All wide receivers playing underneath Mike Tomlin, who clearly cannot control his receivers. That's bad on you, bro. Number 14, Baltimore Ravens. All right, the Ravens came into this game against the Browns very banged up. Lots of injuries, lots of players out for the year. Then Lamar Jackson leaving mid-game, hurt. Tyler Huntley came in and he played nicely, but he made his share of mistakes. He fumbled the ball away, which the Browns picked up and returned to the house. He threw an interception on a 2-point conversion try, and the Ravens committed 10 penalties, allowing a mediocre Browns offense to continue to move the chains. Now, the Ravens sit at 8-5, which is a nice record, but 6 out of 8 of those wins have been on the final possession. And we all know that the Ravens should have lost some of those games. So despite being 1 game out of the 1 seed, the Ravens could possibly be under 500. I have no confidence in this team. Number 13, Cincinnati Bengals. Yo, Joe Burrow is good. That boy good. How good is he? Well, he was able to take the first half off, nap time, and not wake up until the second half, specifically the 4th quarter, where him and Jamar Chase linked up for 2 touchdowns, erasing a 14-point deficit to the Niners. Now, the Bengals sure as shit did lose in overtime, but damn, they looked good doing it. This hurts their playoff chances, but damn, they looked good doing it. Number 12, San Francisco 49ers. George Kittle. That's all that needs to be said. Number 11, just fucking with you. George Kittle single-handedly won this game for the Niners. The Niners tried everything in their fucking power to just give this game to the Bengals. They blew a 14-point 4th quarter lead and ultimately went to overtime, where guess what? George Kittle stepped up. The Niners were able to squeak out a win against the Bengals in overtime, thanks in part to George Kittle. This game probably saved their season. Number 11, Buffalo Bills. Down 24-3 at halftime, the Buffalo Bills looked like shit. Buffalo Bills fans were booty tight, including myself. On social media, a lot of Buffalo Bills fans were calling for head coach Sean McDermott's job. You remember that Monday night game against the Titans, where McDermott chose to go for it on 4th down, going for the touchdown and the win, rather than kicking a field goal and sending it to overtime? Well, I believe that decision and the criticism that followed it fucked him up good. Because ever since that game, he's been a giant pussy. He has no aggressiveness left. And that showed in the first half of this game. Punting the ball when we should have been going for it on 4th down. But it was the second half where the Bills came out and played better. And Josh fucking Allen flipped that switch and went into full-blown beast fucking mode. Down 27-10 with 11 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Here come the fucking Buffalo Bills. The Bills came storming back, cut the lead to 3 points, and found themselves in the red zone with under a minute left. Game over, right? Well, on 3rd and goal, Josh Allen found Stephon Diggs in the corner of the end zone. And despite being pulled down by his collar, there wasn't a flag thrown. Now, I'm definitely not the type of fan that complains about refs' calls. Bad calls happen in every game on both sides of the ball. So I'm not blaming the refs here. But that would have put the ball at the 1-yard line 1st and goal. Instead, the Bills have to kick a field goal and they go to overtime. And in the overtime on 3rd down, the Bucs continue the drive on a pretty questionable defensive pass interference. And then Tom Brady does what he did and threw a touchdown to win the game. I'm not gonna lie, this game fucked me up. It broke my heart. I was fucked up for a couple of days. But in hindsight, I'm thinking about this game. This game hurt the Bills' playoffs chances, 100%. But I am extremely proud of the way the Bills came out in the second half and battled back against the Super Bowl champs. Especially Josh Allen. This man hurt his foot and continued to play and rush for over 100 yards for the first time this season. If it's at all possible, I fell even more in love with Josh Allen after this game. The Bills find themselves in a bad spot right now in the playoff race, and they're going to have to play nearly flawless football for the remainder of the year. Number 10, Los Angeles Chargers. All right, the final score of this game did not depict this game well at all. The Chargers absolutely stomped the shit out of the Giants. Justin Herbert had literally all day to throw the ball, and that's exactly what he did. He had 3 touchdown passes of 25 yards or more, including a 59-yard bomb. Chargers get themselves a big win and stay 1 game behind the Chiefs for that division lead. This win also moves them into a playoff spot, a wildcard berth right now. But hey, they got a big game on Thursday night coming against the Chiefs. It's going to be a fuck of a game. Number 9, Indianapolis Colts. Colts were on a bye week. They sit at 7-6. I had them at 11 last week, and they move up 2 spots. Number 8, Tennessee Titans. This win against the Jaguars was not pretty, but they don't need to be pretty for the Titans. Titans are over here waiting for their best 2 offensive players to return from injury, A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry. They don't give a fuck how they win games. They can win ugly games, they can win by forfeit, it don't matter, they just want that W. In this game against the Jaguars, 13 offensive players touched the ball for the Titans, and not a single player had more than 50 rushing yards or 50 receiving yards. I'll tell you what though, that Titans defense came to play. They had themselves 4 interceptions and they pitched the shutout against the worst team in football, but still a shutout. Number 7, Arizona Cardinals. Monday Night Football against a division rival who is nipping at your heels. This was the perfect setting for the Cardinals. There are so many doubters out there that you hear people within the Cardinals organization bitching about it, saying they're getting no respect. So this was the opportunity for them. And you know what the Cardinals did? They shit the bed. They were dominated by the Los Angeles Rams. It's worth mentioning that James Conner played like a fucking beast. But ultimately, that wasn't enough, and the Cardinals take that L. They allow the Rams to pick up a game on them, and the Cardinals slide from the 1 seed down to the 3 seed. Now, this actually might be a good thing for the Cardinals, seeing they don't like playing at home. While they're 7-0 on the road, they're only 3-3 at home. The fuck is that about? Number 6, New England Patriots. Patriots were on a bye week. Their record is 9-4. I had them at 4 last week. They dropped 2 spots. Number 5, Dallas Cowboys. Forget about Defensive Rookie of the Year. Micah Parsons is the Defensive Player of the Year. There is not a defensive player in the NFL better than this man right now. You all know it to be true. You're just Cowboy haters and you don't want to admit it. This man is a beast. And he had a strip sack earlier in the game that was returned for a touchdown. And that play set the tone for this game against Washington. Now, Dak Prescott threw himself a pick 6 and allowed Washington to get back in the game. And it was scary for a minute. But that's the only reason why the score was as close as it was. Dallas dominated this game. And their defense looks fucking scary. And they went ahead and canceled all that noise about how Washington was coming to challenge them for the division. How about them Cowboys? Number 4, Los Angeles Rams. All right, so the Rams had themselves a hiccup. Lost 3 games in a row not that long ago. But after Monday night's game against the Cardinals, it looks like the Rams are back. That 3-game losing streak is far behind them. They entered that game against the Cardinals, who own the best record in football, missing key players to COVID. Jalen Ramsey was out. Like, that's a big blow. Instead of struggling, the Rams went out and looked like the best team in fucking football. OBJ is coming into his own with the Rams, and that is downright scary. Matthew Stafford looked amazing in a huge win for the Rams. The Rams are now only 1 game behind the Cardinals for that division lead. Should be a very interesting final 4 weeks. But if the Rams keep playing the way they did on Monday night, no one is touching them. Number 3, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In a game that was the tale of 2 halves, the Bucs needed overtime and the help of some seriously questionable calls to beat the surging Buffalo Bills. Bucs went into halftime leading 24-3. The Bucs were winning 27-10 with 11 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. And after a terrible 4th quarter, the Bucs were lucky enough to only go to overtime instead of losing the game on the final drive, and escaped with a victory that all the Tom Brady haters out there are chalking this game up to the refs giving them the game. Now, if you know me, you know I'm a huge Buffalo Bills fan, but you also know that I'm a huge Tom Brady fan. I do not believe in conspiracy theories where refs help out Tom Brady. I honestly think that is just jealous people talking. That being said, the Bucs should have lost this game. Number 2, Kansas City Chiefs. So after the Raiders decided that it was a good idea to hang out and do their thing on the Chiefs logo at midfield, the first play of the game for the Chiefs was a recovered fumble taken to the fucking house for a touchdown. And the game was over right then and there. The Chiefs absolutely took a shit on the Raiders' heads. They had 4 fumble recoveries and an interception and made a fucking statement, a loud fucking statement to the Raiders. Don't dance on my shit. The Chiefs defense has done a complete 180 from earlier in the year. All the stories and all the talk was how are the Chiefs going to win games with such a shitty defense? It is now their strength. Their defense is actually carrying their offense now. Listen, about 6 weeks ago, I mentioned the Chiefs were back, and the Chiefs weren't going to lose a game. I still don't think the Chiefs are going to lose a game. Until next year. The Chiefs are going to win the fucking Super. I hate it. Number 1, Green Bay Packers. Damn, the Packers are good, huh? Aaron Rodgers truly, truly does own the Chicago Bears. You remember when he yelled at the crowd in Chicago, I still own you? Well, it's a few weeks later, and guess what? He still owns you bitches. He's 23-5 against the Bears in his career. Now, that's not Tom Brady against the Bills, but 23-5, man. On Sunday Night Football, the Packers and Aaron Rodgers come out and beat the shit out of the Bears, and Davante Adams, much like last year, is not getting credit for being one of the best receivers in the league. The Packers continue to roll, and they'll have that NFC North locked up soon.